Hello and happy holidays to all of you tuning in today. I hope you've had a wonderful year. I know, speaking for myself and I think for my family, we've had a lovely year and just so grateful and blessed and appreciative of all the amazing things that have happened. I want to thank all of you. This is one of those amazing things that's happened to me is you all take time out of your schedule to tune in from time to time and watch some of the content that I put out there. Today, I know setting's a little bit different than the usual, but I'm going to do a bourbon review and not drinking bourbon today, at least not yet. Sometimes I like to do these bottle kill episodes, if you will. And I had a couple bottles that I killed recently. So what's a bottle kill, I guess? Well, I've got quite a few different things that are lingering in the collection, and from time to time, I grab a bottle, maybe on a Friday night, and have a couple pours just to try to really get a little bit deeper into the bottle. Well, I shift back and forth from one bottle to the next. I don't necessarily stick with one bottle for quite a few weekends in a row per se. So some of these have been around for a little bit, but these two finally got to the point where it was time to kill them recently. So anyway, while I'm thinking about it, I would appreciate it if you give it a good old thumbs up, and if you like the content anyway. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd love for you to do so. Try to put out content, not too much, but just right, whatever that means, in a variety of topics. Of course, bourbon and whiskey videos. Also share some mindset tips, talk about short-term rentals, share some content from some of those properties that we have, and who knows what else the new year will have in store. So let me get right into it. So I've had this logbook for a while, bourbon tasting logbook. Now, one of the things that's a little tricky is some of the font on this is really hard to read, and I don't always have my reading glasses on, and the older I get, sometimes the trickier some of this can be. But when I finished these bottles recently, I actually decided to take some notes. And I think this is a good thing to do. I'm going to start probably carrying this around with me, especially as we travel and venture and visit other distilleries and things. Having this little book around is probably helpful, especially if I get to taste something that I don't necessarily find the bottle. So anyway. For what it's worth, these are not very expensive. I think I picked them up for maybe a couple bucks, if memory serves, on Amazon. So if you're intrigued, find them, look for them, get one. If you can't find it, let me know. I'd be happy to send you the link. All right, so let's get right into it. First one I'm going to share with you today is Uncle Nearest Rye Single Barrel Whiskey. Here's the label. And this is a 121 proof, and this is batch number 001. I'll hold the bottle up there just a little bit longer while I'm talking about this. So I don't remember exactly when we purchased this. I think it was a little over a year ago. Uncle Nearest, the distillery is called Nearest Green Distillery. They're in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Actually, Amanda and I had a chance to visit them. If memory serves, it was maybe August of 22, give or take. Could be off on that. But regardless, we went and visited the facility. And I think the weekend that we visited happened to be their grand opening. Maybe I would say this because I like whiskey, I like bourbon, I like rye. But visiting that distillery, the grounds were phenomenal. I mean, they've got this whole experience set up. I'd like to believe it would be interesting to someone who doesn't like whiskey as much as I do. But it's just beautiful country. It's an old horse farm, Tennessee Walker horse farm. Actually, I think there's still part of the farm that still operates as a Tennessee Walker farm. They've built this bar. I think their claim is it's the world's longest continuous bar or something like that. And it is, weaves in and out of this huge facility. It's really cool. They had a couple different food options there. We had a great experience. Now, the story is that Uncle Nearest was a black fellow back in the day who taught Jack Daniel how to make Tennessee whiskey. And Uncle Nearest came up with the Lincoln County process, which Lincoln County process, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail here, but more or less after the whiskey is ready, and I think before it goes into the barrel, they put it through a burnt maple or maple wood charcoal to filter it. I'm not sure when in that process. So if you know when that Lincoln County process happens, from the time that it's distilled to the time that it's put in a lovely bottle, leave me a comment and remind or share that with the folks. But this is the technique supposedly that makes Tennessee whiskey, aside from being made in Tennessee. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this. At the time when we visited Nearest Green, and I'm not sure if this is still the case, but their still was not up and operating, so they were still going through a contract distiller, and I don't remember them sharing who that was. But this is a 100% rye product. Price, if I recall, was around $90. I told you it's 121 proof. So some of the notes that I jotted down on the nose: it's soft, it's sweet. I didn't notice any ethanol. I did pick up some stone fruit on the nose. And then the flavor, it's kind of a flavor bomb for me. And I would say it's almost like a medicinal cherry, or maybe a better way to describe it is, do you remember those little sour cherry balls that you had when you were a kid? It's kind of like one of those. I didn't pick up rye, surprisingly. And this is best I could find, 100% rye. I didn't pick up a lot of heat per se, despite the higher proof. Very consistent taste profile from front to back, and I would say even the late after taste had a soft sweetness to it. I really like this when I finished this bottle, and what's weird is I don't remember liking it as much when we first got it. I think when we first got it, I dipped into it a little bit, kind of sat on the shelf for a while. It's probably been sitting on the shelf for like I said, for over a year before polished it off recently. Color, I would say it's a classic color, a nice amber, not too dark, not too light. Like I said, drinks smoother than the proof. Has some good viscosity. As I mentioned, had a medicinal cherry, almost not in a negative way, but a little bit of cough syrup type of feeling. So anyway, would I get this again? Yeah, I totally would. It surprised me when we finished it. So this is a good one, especially I think if you're trying to get into rye. Now, the tricky part, it's a little pricey. I think what Nearest Green is trying to do is try to establish themselves as a premium brand. It's a nice bottle, nice label. All their labels have this, some nice marketing and quality to it. I believe their products, I don't know if this one specifically, but I've been noticing them in a lot of liquor stores, even little small town liquor stores. So their products are probably becoming more and more readily available. All right, so that's Nearest Green rye single barrel whiskey. So check that out. Bottle 2 will stay in this great state of Tennessee to review this next one as well. And this is Chattanooga whiskey, straight bourbon whiskey, cask strength. So here we go on this one. I like the bottle. I like when they do this in the glass sometimes. I don't know. I'm kind of a sucker for a good bottle. Of course, I hope that the cool bottle has good juice inside of it. And this Chattanooga whiskey definitely does have that as well. Again, I don't remember how long I've had this. I think I just found this at a Big Red or just a normal liquor store. I don't think there was anything fancy about this one. I have not been to the Chattanooga distillery. I assume that's where it comes from. So let's tell you a little bit about this. It doesn't give me specifics, but the bottle does tell me some about the mash bill: yellow corn, malted rye, caramel malted barley, and honey malted barley. So some new things in there that that I don't see too often. Um, as far as the age statement, I think it just says on here at least 2 years. It comes from a small batch of 6 to 10 barrels. So that's what I know about this. 111 proof, if I didn't already say so. I believe the price was in the 50-ish price point. So nose, again, I used my handy dandy bourbon tasting logbook on this one. Nose, I would say classic bourbon. Uh, a little bit of butteriness, a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of heat. It's like, I don't know how to describe classic bourbon. I guess maybe when I get into the tasting notes, that'll help articulate that a little bit better. But classic bourbon, a little bit of sweetness right on the nose. Some of the notes that stuck out for me, well, on the tasting side, sweet. There is a sweetness, but not in an overpowering way. Sometimes you can get into a whiskey and it's sweet, and that's like it's just like a packet of sugar in your mouth. And I would say this is not quite like that. It's good sweetness. Baking spice is another note that I jotted down. So, just think pumpkin pie, think Thanksgiving, think Christmas, think, snickerdoodles, whatever kind of good baking spices that you use, like the nutmegs, the pumpkin pie spice, the cinnamons. Those are definitely there for sure. Allspice. There's I like this one a lot, and I've been kind of savoring this one over time, and I'm going to try to find another one of these because I did dig it. But there's a nice earthiness quality to it, not quite like dirt, but kind of a grassy dirt, And I know sometimes when I hear people describe tasting notes, and even when I share them with you, you're probably thinking, "Gosh, that sounds terrible." I assure you, if you're getting into whiskey and you hear somebody talk about grassy dirt as a good tasting note, it's just, I don't know, just explore the palates for yourself. And everyone tastes things differently, so it's all kind of up to your own palate and your own nose. But I liked it. I like the earthiness. There was a little bit of oak in this one too, and sometimes oak is tricky for me too. I like a little oakiness. Sometimes that oakiness on some bottles it's like I'm chewing on acorns. I don't want it so oaky that it's tree bark and acorns. This one had a good balance on that. I would say it had some the first step came with a little bit of heat that seemed to calm down on subsequent sips after that. It is 111 proof, so it's not super surprising that there might be some heat there. And then the last tasting note that I jotted down is there was a little bit of a leathery taste. And for me, one of my favorite smells is getting my baseball glove or a baseball and that old leather and just whiffing on that. It's just nostalgic for me. And, to have a little bit of that taste is really good too. So anyway, those are my tasting notes. Let me check through here. Amber to gold in color. Good complexity. The mouthfeel wasn't super viscous. Didn't coat. It's certainly not as much as like this nearest Uncle Nearest rye, but it was really good. And I think for me, being at that $50 price point, that's kind of that's a good price point. You see, I think with bourbons and whiskeys, there's sort of the bottom shelf, quote, bottom shelf price point that are usually sub 20 or right around the $20 price point. And then there's kind of a jump to get into the mid $30 price point. And then sort of the next jump after that is the $50 to $60 price point. And then of course, it jumps from there. Each of those levels has some wonderful products. And for me, this is one of the better whiskeys that I've had in that $50-ish price point. I think that's all I got to say about that. So to wrap things up today, again, we got the Uncle Nearest Rye and we got the Chattanooga whiskey, straight bourbon whiskey, cask strength. Both are worth finding when you're out and about. And if you're still looking for that last minute Christmas gift for someone special on your list who happens to like whiskey, they will love one of these. They won't be disappointed. This would be a good, nice gift. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and look forward to talking to you again in 2024.